Good morning. It is 7:21 a.m. on Tuesday, April 24th, 2018. I'm Christiana Ellis and I just got up. This is 5 more minutes. What was I going to talk about? Oh, okay, a couple of things. So one, I've been working on a story so far script for the So Many Levels campaign because obviously at 53 episodes of the campaign so far, and each of those being 2 hours plus, some of them, up to like 4 hours and change. Obviously, that's a lot of material for anyone to go to if they wanted to like jump in. So, something that's going to be like maybe a 10 to 15 minute summary of the story so far, the main characters, what's the big thing that they're trying to do right now. Working on that, but it's actually a fair amount of material to try to summarize in a manageable amount of time, and so it's been an interesting challenge trying to write it up that way. But I'm working on it. I made some progress last night, um, and that's something I'm going to try to get ready in the next couple of weeks. I still actually haven't totally figured out how I'm going to make the video because I downloaded a program that's supposed to let me do it, but it's complicated. I might have to look up some tutorials to try to figure out how to use it to make it a little bit more interesting than just me talking, reading the script at a camera, which I could always do. I mean, that's a last resort, I guess, because I'm certainly capable of doing that. But anyway, that's something I'm working on. Uh, I also last night played a little bit of Ni no Kuni 2, which is a video game for the PlayStation 4. It is the sequel to, guess what? Ni no Kuni, which is a game that I played on the PS3 and really enjoyed. It's a JRPG that is basically looks a lot like a Studio Ghibli movie in terms of its visual aesthetic. And so I really enjoyed the first one. And so I was eager to jump into the second one and got it for my birthday from my brother. Thank you, David. And so I worked on, or I played that a bit more. And it's interesting because it's much more like an action RPG this time around compared to the last time. I mean, the last time it was a little bit, but they've leaned more in that direction this time. And it still has a very cute story, and all the reviews and my experience so far bear this out. Say that the combat is pretty easy, the difficulty is not high, and that's been true so far. But I'm having a good time with it, so I'll probably talk more about that and maybe do a stream of it or two sometime soon. But yeah, so working on that. The other thing I did yesterday. Oh, I gotta sneeze 1 second. Oh, one more. Mm. Yeah, I get double sneezes. I know that's a thing for a lot of people. I think multiple sneezes, they come in pairs for me. The other thing I did yesterday is I looked into role playing game systems, tabletop role playing game systems that would be well suited for a science fiction setting because I love Dungeons and Dragons. I'm having so much fun with it and not getting rid of it anytime soon. But as I've played, two different campaigns of it and several one shots, as I get close to the Curse of Strahd campaign maybe finishing, I'm thinking about like, well, I would like to try to branch out with my newfound appreciation for tabletop role playing games and want to experiment a little bit. And I think it would be fun to try a science fiction setting. But, Dungeons and Dragons is not super well suited for it. I mean, you could make it work, people do. There's even some instructions in the book that talk about like, oh, well, what could you do to, make a laser rifle or something like that with the stat blocks. But it's not optimized for that for sure. It's designed to be focused on a more fantastical setting. But there are lots of other games out there, and I actually asked for recommendations yesterday and got a bunch. Um, a lot of people recommended Fate based systems, and there's one that I know of called Bulldogs that I actually wrote a short story for an anthology set in that universe a few years back, and that one's based on Fate system tweaked a little bit. So that's definitely one that I'm looking at. Also, Fate core just generally can be used for all sorts of different settings. So I'm not sure if I would want to use someone else's setting or just the rule set to do my own setting. But some people also recommended Starfinder, which I guess is a new one that's similar to Pathfinder, which is a game that's a little bit like Dungeons and Dragons, but the Starfinder is the sci-fi version, and that one's new and I guess getting good reviews. That one, at a glance, like looking at so Fate and Starfinder are the only ones that I've looked at with any detail so far. And Starfinder seems to be more like Dungeons and Dragons in the sense of having a lot of complex rules, whereas Fate seems more designed to be a little bit simpler in terms of the math and the rule sets, and more based on you have these aspects of things where, like, tempted by shiny things might be something that your character can do, and you can either invoke it for a benefit if you can think of some reason why that would be a positive for your character in a given situation. You can spend a fate point to gain advantage, and if someone else or you think that it would be a hindrance in a certain situation, you can get a fate point in order to fail at what you're trying to do, but now you have a fate point and the story is interesting. So I'm looking at that and I'm thinking more about it. So I know other people recommended, I think, Savage Worlds. I haven't looked at that one yet, but I know that there have been a lot that people recommended. There's also Star Wars ones, and I can't remember all the others off the top of my head, but I appreciate everybody's suggestions. Anyway, I've got to go ahead and get ready for work, so I will talk to you tomorrow for 5 more minutes.